You're now watching Sports Bettor's Paradise on the BetRivers Network.
All right, Jimmy Ott and Brady Kannon here as we talk about the NFL final week. It can be tricky, boy, with teams that their seeding is set, teams that are just playing out the string, and teams that are playing for a whole lot more, which could add a little pressure and motivation at the same time. Brady, before we get into your picks, how does your handicapping approach alter or you adjust going into this final week with so many different variables playing?
Well, I tell you, it's maybe one of the hardest weeks of the entire season for a lot of reasons. And then some games jump out that can be very obvious as well. This particular year, I think there's obviously a handful of games where both teams have something to play for. Those you pretty much play as you would normally do throughout the entire season. But then you have some games where neither team has anything to play for. The 49ers and the Rams, they're both expected to sit their starters. How are you going to handle that game? Then you have some games where one team, has to win to get in. The other team's just playing the season out. You want to listen to coach speak, and then you have to decide if they're lying to you or if they're telling the truth. There's reports as far as who's going to play that you kind of have to wait on throughout the week. I mean, there's just so many more variables than a normal situation when both teams are coming to the table, given full 100% effort. It's week 8, week 10. I mean, really all the way into certainly week 16, sometimes week 17, you can find some similar situations. But then when you get to the finale here, I think you have to be patient. It's hard to jump in on some of these games early in the week before you can gather as much information as possible.
Yes, indeed. And, and thinking about this one too, Baltimore, it's how ironic is it that Baltimore, their seeding is set. This is basically a preseason game, and whose own preseason,
right?
Like John
exactly.
Harbaugh. And also, do you want to have the long layoff that kind of burned them as the number one seed a few years back when they got upset at home by the Titans? So, Jackson's having a great year. He's going to win the MVP, but, it's just tricky. And, boy, you don't want to get him hurt as well. So even as low risk as it is sometimes, well, you can ask them the Dolphins with Bradley Chubb and also the Washington Huskies with their running back Johnson. So, all right, let's get to the teaser first. And Saturday, part of the Saturday game, Houston at Indianapolis in the AFC South. Houston, 1.5-point road favorite there, and Seattle, a 2.5-point road favorite at Arizona. You're looking to tease both of these home dogs. Colts to plus 7.5, Arizona to plus 8.5.
Yeah, Jimmy, everything I come up with, I'll start with the Colts and the Texans. Everything I come up with in this game basically makes it a pick 'em. My power ratings came to the Texans favored by a 0.5 point. And when I run the numbers, it comes out to the same number, Texans by a 0.5 point. I said it on Sports Grid earlier this week that whichever team comes out as the 1 or 1.5 point dog makes that team a great candidate for a teaser. Earlier in the week, the Texans were a 1-point dog, and now currently we have the Colts as a 1.5 point dog. And who knows, maybe later in the week that'll flip again. But right now, I would take the Colts up to plus 7.5. You can even go to 8 or 8.5, but I really do believe that this is going to be a close game, and I think you're fine with just the 6-point teaser, taking this to 7.5 here. Gardner Minshew is going to be obviously an interesting player in this game, and he may have to have a really good game throwing the ball because the Houston Texans have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So if they can force Minshew into a couple of turnovers, or conversely, Minshew's able to take advantage of that Texan pass defense, I think that could be a big difference in this game. But whatever the case, I think it's going to be a tight one. And getting that 7.5 to the other side of a touchdown here with whichever side you're going to take as a dog in the teaser, I think is a nice position for this contest.
All right, in Arizona, same thing of home dog flipping over that 3-7 plus 8.5 after their big win. Did not punt in Philadelphia in the road win, down 21-6. They come back to beat the Eagles on the road.
Yeah, I think you have a similar situation here, Jimmy, where this ought to be a very close game. I think this will be a competitive contest. The difference is, and we talked about this in the open, handicapping, the final week of the season, you have the Seattle Seahawks who must win this game to stay alive in the playoff chase versus a team in the Arizona Cardinals who has been eliminated and has nothing yet to play or nothing left to play for except for pride. I haven't been a believer in the Seattle Seahawks all season long, and I think that's why they're in the situation that they're in, where they have to win to stay alive. And Arizona really at home, I think, is in the perfect spoiler spot. They've been a spoiler all year long. They upset the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you mentioned, they shocked the Philadelphia Eagles last week. They're playing footloose and fancy free. All the pressure here is on the Seattle Seahawks, not a very good team, going on the road to an Arizona team that, plays inspired football on occasion. They have a very good coach. I think the situation of playing without that pressure, certainly benefits the team in that role, the spoiler role. I think in both cases here, the Colts as a home underdog, better than a touchdown. The Arizona Cardinals in a home underdog situation, again, in a teaser, more than a touchdown. I like the position here with both squads.
All right, Arizona Colts teaser there, a 6-point teaser. Let's go stay in the AFC South in the Titans and the Jaguars. Jaguars rebounding with a shutout win last week against a lowly Carolina. Now the Titans are at home catching 5.5 against the Jaguars.
Yeah, this is really one of the cases that is a classic must-win situation in the final week of the season. The Jacksonville Jaguars must win. If they do, they win the division. If they lose the game, they go home. And then facing an opponent who in the Tennessee Titans has been eliminated from the playoffs and again is just playing for pride, jobs, and the desire to be a spoiler. The Jaguars have all the pressure here. And Jimmy, I also believe they have elevated expectations because we're expecting that Trevor Lawrence will be back in the game. So that kind of sets the bar a little higher. And I still don't believe that he's truly 100%. I also believe there's probably some extra value in the line. That's usually the case when you have teams in a must-win situation like the Jaguars are. And you talked about what happened last week. The Jaguars go out there and pitch a shutout. They look impressive in a bounce-back situation, and Tennessee gets pummeled in an ugly loss. So that could possibly throw this line out of whack a little bit as well. I think the Titans will be competitive, and they'll make this a game. This is also a very interesting angle here and another element that you can add to the handicap in Week 18. A lot of players have incentives in their contract that they'll be trying to eclipse in the final game. DeAndre Hopkins for the Tennessee Titans, $250,000 extra if he gets to 75 receptions. He's currently at 68. $250,000 if he gets to 1,050 yards receiving. He's currently at 1,011. And then finally, another $250,000 if he has 8 touchdown catches, and he's currently at 6. So I think that can also figure into the handicap versus which side you want to take. Certainly matters if you're going to dive into the prop market on DeAndre Hopkins. He's got 750,000 reasons to play well here on Sunday.
No doubt, good job of doing research on those incentives. No doubt about that. And now the NFC South, down the Superdome, the Saints and the Falcons. Saints after that road win out of nowhere against Tampa Bay. One thing we think, though, was probably the best thing for them to be away from home last time. It's gotten ugly with the fan reaction down in the Superdome. Now they come home after a win with a chance here. Saints are 3-point favorites against the Falcons.
Yeah, Jimmy, we loved your New Orleans Saints last week, and that one worked out for us pretty easily. But in sports betting, you can love them and leave them in a hurry, and that's what I'm going to do here with the Saints, once again in the role of the favorite. I do not like this team in the role of the favorite. And you mentioned the struggles and the pressure they've succumbed at home. Both of these teams in this case have something to play for. The Saints have a better chance of making the playoffs than do the Falcons, but they'll both be giving 100% effort here, I expect, and trying to get a win. I also do think there's a little bit of line value because of what happened last week. The Saints in a convincing win, the Falcons off of an ugly loss. My power ratings came to the Saints -3.5, and that's where this game was, but the hook went away pretty quickly. And then when I run the numbers, I come out to the Saints at less than a 1.5 favorite. I think both of these teams, they struggle offensively. They both play pretty darn good defense. I believe points will be at a premium here. So I'll take the field goal with the Atlanta Falcons. And then, of course, Derek Carr, quarterback, and head coach Dennis Allen have the worst records in the league at their respective positions against the spread as a favorite. So I think we get a nail biter here, Jimmy, and I'll take the 3 points with the Falcons.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's some people kind of pulling against the Saints to make a change. So we will see. But Falcons always bring a lot of fans in to the Superdome as well. It's an easy hour-and-a-half flight between the two cities. So this is going to conclude our season here in NFL handicapping. Brady's going to be back like he was with us last year here on the Sports Bettor's Paradise for the majors in the golf. And I'm already getting into golf mode, Brady, and I guess the thing that really hits you, the Jon Rahm absence in the odds board. The odds board, Scotty Scheffler plus 500 at BetRivers to win Kapalua. I mean, that's you're seeing an impact finally we saw a little trickle with some of the guys, but with Rahm being out, you see a big impact on the leaderboard, the odds board, I should say.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Jimmy. It is a shame that Jon Rahm has gone elsewhere and not back at Kapalua to defend his title. And I'm excited to do the majors with you again. Can't wait for that. Excited for golf to kick off this week on the islands. And give you a little bonus here. I did play Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
You think about Scheffler as being maybe a 7-8 point favorite, or 8-1 favorite or so, 9-1 when you have a traditional 156 player field. Well, that field is more than cut in half with 59 players here, and he's still in the neighborhood of 5 or 6-1. Scheffler was a play for me this week, and then I also took another shorter price guy in Colin Morikawa at 14-1, and then 2 longer stabs with Cameron Young at around 50-1 and Sahith Theegala in the neighborhood of 70-1. So a couple of golf plays there for you to get the season kicked off, and we'll talk again before the Masters in April.
Very good. Winning week last week of the NFL. Let's finish off the season with a great one as well. Another winning week. Brady, excellent work all season long. We appreciate your information, your angles, and also your picks. We'll see you in the majors for the golf stuff. For Brady Kannon, I'm Jimmy Ott here at the Sports Bettor's Paradise on the BetRivers Network.